After traveling the world, I landed in Moldova. The stories here blow my mind. I invited my friends to discover Moldova with me. We are journalists and explorers. Join us in this adventure.